Today we're going to take a look at the fantastic new bundle deal called Icewind Assault for Age of Sigmar. Spiky bits. Make sure you stay in the trenches by becoming a supporter over on Patreon and also scoring yourself some free miniature swag in the process. Subscribe to this YouTube channel. Check out our site, spikybits.com, for all the hot hobby tutorials, news, rumors on all your favorite hobby topics. And head on over to thelongwar.net. That's the home of the battle reports for exclusive content, early access videos, and more. Become a veteran of the Long War today. Alright, so here it is. If you're a fan of the new Ogors, or Ogors, which I feel like we're all going to call them, then this might just be the box set for you. I'm Baer. Welcome back, everybody. So this is this week's new release, besides the Beastclaws Raiders Battle Tome book that has all the rules for these bad boys in them. Don't get me wrong, the World Scrolls are in here too. But this particular box here is a great deal. It's $215 retail for over $300. I think it's $305 in actual MSRP. So it's at least 30% off, and that's assuming that you can't even buy this in your, your local game store for 20 to 25% off. So then, if you're basically already getting 30% off of 25% off, then you're looking, the savings, you gotta multiply it out and stuff, but it's a solid deal, you know what I mean? Like, especially for starting out, because so many of the new Beastclaws Raider formations and actual war scrolls themselves are just these models right here, right? So this is a great deal. And the only thing you really would have to buy to make a playable 2,000 point force is another Stonehorn guy, maybe a box of the Mournfangs, because you can take them in squads of 2, but they are battle line. But you can do some tweaks where you get these guys as battle line. So, and you got to have 3 at 2K or at 2K points, right? 3 battle lines. So you can kind of mix and match the points. Now there's a couple of formations or battalions in the new Beastclaws Raiders Battle Tome that actually behoove you to play that way. So it's almost like they've designed it to be that way, like I feel like. So a lot of stuff that's really exciting. Who doesn't want to play a low model kind of army, right? Like, I don't want to roll up to the store and push a bunch of models around the table. I'd much rather play with these exciting, ginormous, super dynamic, like, monsters on the tabletop and just kind of push them around and have some fun. That's the game experience I'm always about, you know what I mean? So let's take a closer look at this, because this is kind of like a really interesting kit. It's 14 miniatures, like I said, great deal. It's an amalgam of material, because you get, not only do you get the plastic, multi-part kits, these guys here that we all know and love, but you also get these guys, which are also Finecast. They're still making Finecast, folks. Like, Finecast didn't just disappear. They're not making new models in Finecast. It appears like they haven't done that in a while, but they still have the older stuff in Finecast. And I'll be honest, I haven't seen a lot of Finecast models up close, like in the package. I tried to avoid them. We knew when they first came out they were bad. Now Games Workshop took great pains to try to fix that. And I feel like when you see the models in here, we're going to take a closer look at them. But it's really interesting to see how the quality has kind of gone up. And it looks like they've gone through and they've done the extra work to make the sprues work for the material that they're using for the Finecast. And of course, Finecast is, of course, more highly detailed. It does have its posing issues, and the stuff kind of bends and can still fall over, just kind of depending on how you model it and clean it up, because it is inherently a weaker material than resin or multi-part plastic. But the detail on it is always of a higher quality than what you can even get or even hope to get in metal or plastic, of course. So let's jump in here, take a closer look. Here's the breakdown, of course. Everything you get right in here, you can see clearly broken out. I like this new packaging style, where they give you the colors, all kind of at once, and then they give you the breakdown. So it's easily a digestible format. So little Timmy and Tommy, when they're going into the store and they're like, yo, hey, what do you get in this box? They know, like, they could be like, oh, look, I get all this. This is the close-ups, this is all the stuff. And plus, this isn't stuff that they have to print on the instruction manuals, because instruction manuals these days are getting crowded. Like, these things are straight up, designed on the computer, all sorts of, work is going into these to make them I guess, easy to understand. You know, they're doing all the like the color coded things now, where like the yellow is for where the models interface. You know, blue is like options, and you know, all sorts of stuff like that. So just breaking down the contents. Of course, we got all the instruction manuals and a sneaky little formation right there that we'll cover that here in a second. So you've got all the fine cast stuff in the double kind of long box format right there, and then you get all the sprues. And I couldn't tell you if we reviewed the stone horns and the Mournfangs on here. So we'll take a quick look at them as we go through the box here. So there's all that, and then you get to the bottom where it shows you basically the bases. And curiously enough, the bases that come with this, and you couldn't really tell by looking at the pictures, I feel like, of the new models. This is the Dreadnought, or AKA the Flyer base. This is, you know, I think it's 120 by 95, I want to say, or 52. It could be, it's probably 95, 120 by 95. I believe that's the official size of this base. So basically the Dreadnought, the Flyer base, this is what you put the stone horns on. Then the Mournfangs go on this one, which I believe is the 75 oval, the new 75 oval. This is also the same size as the Draconiths, the cavalry for the Stormcast, right? And then you got these super mini ovals, which these are what the little saber tusk go on, the saber claw guys. So you've got three different kind of size bases here, and then it looks like all of the models, the ogre models themselves, have moved to 50 mil rounds right here. And these aren't the 65. These are the 50 mils that like the Centurions and stuff go on for 40K. So to kind of take note of that, that's kind of where they're going. If you look at GW's site right now, everything's still on their site on square base pictures. But if you look in the app, everything's on round bases. So it's like really difficult to try to kind of figure out, you know, if you're trying to rebase your ogres, like exactly what size goes on what. But there it is right there. Now we kind of know. So if you're looking to, you know, get that realism and kind of convert over your army, now you know the roughly the approximate size. So let's take a closer look at the sprues themselves. Okay, so first up is the Mournfang Cavalry, and that is a 3 sprue kit, which it's pretty neat. Like you get this one here, which is the, you know, some of the weapons, and then you get this right here, which we slide over, and that gives you the rest of the weapons and the banner right there. And then you got all sorts of, you know, pistols and things, because the sergeants can have pistols, the characters can have pistols. So it kind of gives you a really good idea. There's all sorts of options, and then the Gargant Choppas right here. So those are the two different weapons. You can have the two-hand weapons or the iron punches as well on these guys. So that is the Mournfang Cavalry kit. And then you get into the more intricate Stonehorn kit, which of course you're going to get 2 of each sprue, even though they say, hey, just make it, you know, the certain way. So there's the first sprue, and you got, of course, that big ass Stonehorn, you know, faceplate right there, which you can switch out. You don't have to use all the rest of the equipment here for the 2 different riders, the harpoon. Then you got the chain, the little chain trap thing that they can also throw out as well on the other sprue. So kind of depending on what you want to do, depending on if you want to take the Frost Lord or you know, just a normal Husk Lord guy. It just kind of depends on how you want to build it all out. But all the stats and everything are in the new Beastclaw riders, as well as this instruction manual here as well. And there's the second sprue, which contains a lot of the legs, all intricately detailed. Got the great looking fur and everything like that. It's all computer sliced, which we're going to see in the instruction manual as well. And then the last sprue right here, which is the horns for the Thunder Tusks themselves, and then some of the parts for the Howdah and the riders and all sorts of things right there. So those are the main plastic sprue components for this kit right here. Now let's take a look at the Finecast components here, because like I was saying, you know, it's no joke. Finecast has, you know, they got a rough dog. You know what I mean? But when you start looking at these and you realize, you're like, man, I don't know, like I get the hate, but then when you start looking at the way all of this stuff is put together and injection, you know, all the sprue lines here, that's highly detailed, very highly detailed. You know what I mean? Like, this is a good quality cast. There's no air bubbles. You know, it's obviously coming in from this way, but I'm sure they do it with some sort of pressure system and things like that. So I was just looking at it and I was like, man, you know what? Like, I just feel like this is a good quality product. Like, it looks good. There's no like little bubbles and, you know, holes you gotta fill with the liquid green stuff, which, by the way, if you have not tried Vallejo's plastic putty, it comes either in a dropper bottle or like a little toothpaste tube that's only about that big. Like, you really gotta try that stuff. It's 100 billion% better, and that's a real number, 100 billion% better than Games Workshop's liquid grease stuff. I'm sorry, it just is. I love that stuff. Can't stop using it. And there's one of the saber claws as well, so you can kind of get an idea of how that all goes together. They're kind of static. Like, the pose, I dig them. They're sculpted well and everything like that, but they're just kind of static. They're just kind of sitting there. Like, how dope would it be if these guys were just like rawr and just like jumping around all nimbly bimbly from tree to tree? You know what I mean? Like, that would be fresh. And then you got the three different styles of Yetis, which these guys are actually kind of cool in the new rules and everything too as well. So there you can see, I mean, look at all that fur detail. Like, it's really good. And then you can tell this is ice, you know, like, just look at the detail and look at the head right there, right? Like, boom. I mean, I get it, Finecast sucks, like, it's not as strong, but like, I feel like this is strong here. Like, if I put this together and I glue it right, I feel like I'm not gonna have a whole lot of problems. Like, maybe with this might bend eventually, but it is very thin. But I don't know. I feel like this is a solid piece right here. We'll find out. I'm gonna put this stuff together. I'm playing these guys, so like, whatever I don't use out of this box, I'll send out to everybody as, you know, Patreon support. But you know, everything else I'm pretty much gonna use for my new army. So that's pretty much the models. Now let's just kind of jump in here and show you some of the instruction manual stuff. Like, obviously, it's the normal instruction manual that we've come to know and love, with all of the great graphics. You know, they give you the options right up front. Hey, this is what makes a Stonehorn. Hey, this is what makes a Thundertusk. All right, thanks, G-Dub. And then, you know, right here, all the yellow is showing you the interfacing, where all the parts are supposed to go, which is really super helpful. And then you can kind of just flip through it and they give you the options, like, hey, this is an option. Hey, this is an option. You can switch this out. And then, of course, they got all the rules in here, you know, for the bad boys as well. So after you're done with the instruction manual, you can still like cut out the pages and use these things in game as, you know, a game aid on the tabletop, because sometimes it's easier to just grab a page, you know, than look at your phone or, you know, fumble through the book or something like that. Just having this stuff on the table, I feel like, is 100 billion times better to use. And then you got the Mornfang pack here, same deal, great instruction booklet. You know, it's got all the color pictures and everything we've all come to know and love, you know, and they give you all the options and everything like that. So there's the Gargant Hacker, the Culling Club, and there should be an Iron Pike. You can take that as well. Or the Iron Punch. Oh, I guess oh yeah, there it is right there. So just to kind of give you an idea, and of course they got the data sheet on the back, and I like these half-page data sheets. Those are a little bit easier to kind of lay out on the tabletop as well. And then here is the secret formation that nobody knew about, woo! Which of course is all the models in the box set itself. But it's kind of neat. Like, what it does is it just lets you do basically an extra mortal wound if you field all this stuff. At the end of combat phase, in which a unit suffers any unsaved wound from a Stonehorn, Thundertusk, or Mornfang, Frost Saber, or Icefall Yeti, so basically anything, in the battalion, roll a dice. On a 6, that unit suffers a mortal wound as terminal frostbite sets in. Note that any unsaved wounds by the riders, if any, of those creatures do not count for the purposes of that ability. So just a kind of an idea there of how it works. But if you're going to field all the stuff in the box, why not field it with this little formation here? Sure, on a 6, but you got, you know, a bunch of different models that might probably cause wounds on a bunch of different other units. So eventually it'll go off, and that's kind of cool because mortal wounds seem to kind of be the new Ogors thing there. So that is pretty much everything I have to show you today for the brand new box set that's coming out this week from Games Workshop. So head on down to your local game store, and if you are all about the Ogors, this is probably the box set for you.
Deleted scenes, bonus content, and all the interviews and post-game wrap-up videos can be located in the Hall of Veterans on thelongwar.net. Visit thelongwar.net today and try a week completely free with no strings attached. That's not all. Thelongwar.net is also your hobby resource for exclusive early access with an ad-free experience to all your favorite videos. Members of the Hall of Veterans gain early exclusive access to multiple hobby videos,